I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now, so I need that go, y'all. Got hits when he throwing the fastball.
What's going on, guys? Austin from ATG back with another technical video. Today we're going to be talking about key levels. So key levels is, well, extremely important. Let's go over to the whiteboard and I'll draw a couple examples. But essentially what key levels are is identifying important areas of both support and resistance on a price action chart. And basically key levels are going to be serious inflection points to where price could either reverse, act as resistance, act as support. There's a bunch of different things that could happen at the levels themselves, but they all come with a clear indication and will allow you to make trading decisions off of them. So it's very important that you're able to identify them, understand them, and understand how to make trades off of them. So let's just draw some example price action here. We're gonna hop onto the screen like we always do, make sure that you guys see exactly how to do this on charting software. But I like to draw it on the whiteboard just so you guys can get an idea and I can explain it a little bit better. So just draw some price action. It's a very sideways market. All right, to the moon. Okay, so the first thing that we can notice here is see the market's coming down, comes up, drops, comes back up, drops, back up, supports a little bit, up, supports a little bit, and then gone. So if this is what the market looks like, what you would be ideally trying to identify at first is you're going to be important areas of resistance and important areas of support. So we always want to look left to right whenever you're analyzing a chart because you want the previous price action to help you get an idea of what's going to go on in the future. If you're using very recent price action, it's probably not going to have a lot of validity to it. You also have a lot of price history that can support whatever analysis you're putting on your chart by going from left to right. So we're going to start with the left, move our way over there. We see resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, support here. So what we can do with that is plot a key level. On a screen it's a lot easier, but here I got to draw it, so bear with me if this line's a little bit curved or diagonal. Okay, this isn't the straightest line, has a couple dips in it, but you get the general idea. The main area that we're focusing on is right here. So let's just highlight why we did this. Resistance, 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 support. So we have 3 areas of resistance and 1 area of support. That's more than enough to qualify this level as something significant. Now, if we're looking on our price chart and we see that the value of this level is, let's just say, we'll do 10.94, then it would be a more than reasonable idea to round this up to 11. And the reason I say it's ideal to do that is because you always want to be rounding to whole numbers, because whole numbers are going to act as something that are called psychological levels. So let's write that down. Make sure you guys have a notebook out, a piece of paper, a notepad on your computer or phone, whatever. Just make sure you guys are taking notes if you need to. So round levels to nearest whole number, not number, number, only if price validates. And I'll explain what that means in a second. Okay. So 10.94, safe to say around to 11. And if we look, let's just say that we rounded this up to 11 for this example. We can see that we still have those areas of resistance. Now, if we rounded that level and it raised the level, let's just say to up here, you still have one area of resistance, but it's too far from everything else, and I wouldn't be doing that personally. So I would say that rounding is not appropriate when you are actually removing the elements that solidified the idea that that level was a key level. So only round when it makes sense. If you round up the number and you find that it just changes the whole reason that you spotted the level in the first place, then don't do it. That's a very, very important thing, is you only round if price action is going to keep that level valid. So if it invalidates the level just by rounding it, don't round it. You're just wanting it to be round when the market is telling you otherwise. So take the message from the market. It's usually the correct message. Okay, so another thing with rounding is you always want to round to 50, 80, and 100. When I say 100, you could just put .00 whole numbers. Very important, so make sure you guys have that. 50, 80. Okay, so that's an important thing to do. Now that you know pretty much about rounding and how to spot your key level, it's important that you understand what key levels mean and what message they could be providing you when you're watching a live market example. So let's look over here. So we see that we have this area of resistance, 1, 2, 3 areas of resistance. This level has been played quite a few times now. So if I'm going to take a trade off this and I see that this level's worked 3 times, I'm going to be a little bit weary of it working a 4th time, because the more times that the level is in play in one direction, and when I say one direction I mean as resistance, typically the weaker it's going to get. Think about like in the movies, whenever like a detective or like a squad of police is coming to knock a door down and they use a battering ram. They hit that door 1, 2, 3 times, it's gonna hold. But usually like on the 4th or 5th hit, it just slams through it. Basically the same thing with the level. Imagine this thing's getting just smashed once, smashed twice, smashed 3 times. Now it's very weak, price comes up, smashes right through it, and now it acts as support. So whenever you see a very strong level of resistance break, that could be an indication that price is getting ready to break higher. So whenever that level does break, watch for price to come back down, see if it acts as support. If it does, then you can expect price to go higher. There's a bunch of different entry strategies that you can apply to that. I'm not really going to go into that too much in this video. I just mainly want to share with you guys key levels and their significance. So this is pretty much the main scope of identifying your levels. It's just understanding how to plot them. So identify areas of both resistance and support. Plot the level. But the most important thing is just actually having those market examples of resistance and support to make sure that the level is valid. So now that we've covered everything on the whiteboard, let's go over to the computer, take a look at see what it looks like on the screens in the real market. But yeah, this is very, very straightforward stuff, guys. Key levels are very, very basic tools to use, but they're very, very powerful. And you guys have probably heard me mention this before in a different video, but key levels are going to act as a confluence. A confluence is just another word for a reason. And what you want to have in your trading ideas is multiple confluences or reasons that your trade is going to work in your favor. The more confluences you have, the higher probability that the setup is going to be a highly probable setup. And that's all you want to be taking is highly probable setup. So the more confluences, the better. Being able to identify a key level and pairing that with a trend line or a Fibonacci retracement is going to give you a nice setup. So definitely make sure you guys know how to plot these. Very important across all markets. But let's hop on over to the screen now and see what goes on. Gonna need to get a little bit of water first, but I'll see you guys over there. All right, what's up guys? Austin from ATG. So we're on the screen now. We are just gonna plot some key levels on this chart. I'm just gonna basically do exactly what I did on the whiteboard, but we're gonna do it with a current market example and I'm just going to show you guys pretty much what it looks like on screen. Everybody's trading software is different, or charting software I should say, but for this example we're using TradingView. This is just a default layout, nothing crazy, nothing special. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab a horizontal line tool. So you want to grab your line tool on whatever charting software you're using. Apply your key levels, probably going to be the easiest thing that you can use in order to find what we're looking for. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to always look left to right. I let the past price action give me the future indication. I'm not going to be looking from recent price history. I want to see what's been happening in the past and see if that's being played in the present. So we're going to start by looking left. I see we have a nice rejection here, and then it happened another time and another time, so boom, 3 times. That's a good example of a level of support. So we can go ahead and plot that level, and we can just look and see where that price is at. So this is at 41,113. So let's see what happens if we bring it up to 20. So if we bring it up to 20, it's still valid, but I would pretty much just like identify this as a zone and probably just put it at 41,115 if you want to do the rounding. Whenever you draw a level, you can always draw a zone around it like this. Grab a rectangle tool and then just stretch it out. And this is going to give you a little bit of a broader range, not so much an exact level, but more of a zone that's going to be played within that vicinity of the level. So it's going to be super tight. Depending on how you trade, this will be just as good as an exact level. But if you're a scalper and you need to have exact entries, you don't really want to be trading on zones. You need to be exact, but for this example, zones are perfect. So have a level there, and then we can look and see we have a nice point of resistance here. Price hits level, drops significantly. You can see it's been retested again, retested again, tested again, again, and again. Perfectly, you can see this rejection is like to the wick, so it's a really nice valid area as well. And for this example, just go ahead and put the zone around it as well, just so it's easier to see on the screen. All right, and then we can clone this level again and see we have this other area of resistance right here. Let me grab the brush tool. Where are we at here? Brush tool, cool. Where's my little tool showing me the color? Whatever, we'll just try it. Okay, so you can see we have a level of resistance here, here, support. So again, this is another example of a valid level, or a valid key level. So again, we'll just go back to this rectangle tool, clone that up, draw it, and place it there. So you can see perfectly how these levels, they act as support and then they act as resistance later on. Here again, this was resistance, then it turned into support, 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 resistance, support, support. This one, resistance, resistance, support, 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 like this whole area is support, resistance, resistance, and then now it's acting as support again. So key levels are super important, guys. Hope this video provided some clarity and added some value to your trading toolkit. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I'm making his dog like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding the road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now. So I need that go, y'all. Got hits when he throwing the fastball.